On this episode of Inside the League, we talk about how to get in front of scouts and what the recruitment process really is like. Welcome to another episode of Inside the League. It's going to be a great one today. I have with me Coach Mario Erazo. Thank you so much for joining.
Hey, you're very welcome, and thank you for the invitation.
So let's jump right in. Tell me a little bit about how you got into the world of scouting.
Sure. I mean, it's been a process that's it's taking a while. Of course, I started as a player, play college. Then thanks to a coach, she said, "Hey, why don't you do a little bit of coaching?" I got my certification, started coaching youth soccer. Travel a little bit around the world. I had opportunities to work with lower division teams in South America. Mainly, I was helping with translation, and then um, I was back in the U.S. and I was able to meet some very well-connected people when it comes to the sport in Europe, and they needed somebody that spoke multiple languages, of course, and some had experience in the, my background was business management. I done marketing, I done a little bit of promotion as well. So, when it comes to scouting, you also have to, promote your programs. You have to promote yourself. So they decided to bring me on board, and from there, I started scouting for international playing opportunities in places like Germany, Italy, and then I wanted to look more opportunities. I wanted to get more education. Then I attended a professional scouting certification in Manchester, where I work with the head scout for the Manchester United Academy, and that's where pretty much I decided to start my own scouting agency, and since then I've been scouting for over a decade now.
Oh, cool. So Manchester is a big deal, so I know we'll touch on that a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, my first question is, how does a scout even find an athlete? Like, do you get a tip, or is something kind of bubbling on the radar? How does that even happen?
Well, there's different kinds. I mean, if you are contracted by a professional club, of course, you'll be assigned a territory, and you'll have to go and evaluate talent. Whatever they send you, it might be tournaments, it might be friendly matches, etc. I'm more of a independent scout, and I have my own vision on how to help the players, the athletes, move to the next level. Of course, our goal is to first of all, make him understand if there is no opportunities in the area when it comes to the next level, make him understand what is the next level. And the way I do it is through promotion. I promote myself, I promote my programs, because that way I can attract the players that have goals, goals to better themselves, goals to experience what is the next level, and of course, they're an open mind to take valuable opportunities.
So, a independent scouting organization such as what you have, do you then refer scouts to different teams or different leagues? And are you kind of like the bridge in the middle, or how does that work?
Yes, yes. As of right now, for example, like I say, depends on the player's goals. There's players that are in a different age group. So it's different from a younger player than a player that is already 18 years old, or a player that's maybe 21, 22. Because it depends on the age, on the goals, and also the availability of the player, or where we can find those opportunities. And for me, it's very important is the character and the mentality of the player. Being, having a certain amount of talent is great, but what's going to make the difference is the mentality, the character. What are you willing to sacrifice to take the opportunity at the next level when it's given to you? So, for example, in one of my scouting events, I met a very good player. He was here studying, and originally from Costa Rica. And his goal was, I'm not ready to commit to become a professional player. I want my goal, my dream is to go to school in the U.S., earn a scholarship, and play soccer. So I say, okay, fine. As soon as after the evaluation, I mean, I saw an incredible amount of talent. I would say this player, no problem, can play college soccer. Got on the phone with my contacts, send them the video, and they proceed to help him, achieve that goal because he does have the talent. And I just spoke with him yesterday. He's committed to a D2 school with scholarships, and we help him make that dream come true. For him, that's the next level. And for me, that's kind of as a scout what my vision and mission is. Now, for example, when it comes to, I focus mainly the international opportunities because I see the value of going outside of the U.S. to countries where soccer is the main sport, and then you
Mhm.
really see the different level, the commitment of players, the sacrifice, but most importantly, the mentality. Because a coach from any country is going to be very different than a coach from Europe, from South America, from North America. So those are things that I think there's value in it for the players to really absorb that, and of course, set goals for themselves.
So it sounds like as a scout, you normally get a tip about a player that you would then start to look at and pique interest in and kind of form or reach out to. What about players that are not already on your radar? How do scouts traditionally have players that already are not on your radar? How can they get on your radar?
Sure. I mean, that's a very good question. They can come to my sessions. Okay. I host evaluation sessions throughout the US. Right now, I have my schedule done for the winter. So I'm going to be in Miami, Tampa, Orlando, Virginia, Richmond. I'm going to New York City. And then my last stop is in Los Angeles, California. So I
Okay.
typically do that 3 times a year. Of course, one of the issues, in the United States, the country is so big that for me to be in every city every time will be impossible. But of course, players also send me the highlight videos, and I can definitely see, what they can do. And then from there, I like to set up an interview with the player to make sure that, I'm gonna be able to help you. I cannot help every player, but if or your goals are aligned to what can I do for you, then let's establish a relationship, and through my programs, see if I can help you reach the next level, whatever the player's goals are.
And when you were with Manchester, just being inside of that organization, how would those coaches or those scouts, excuse me, go about either knowing about a player or a player getting on their radar? How did that work?
Yeah, so each country's got a different system. I went there to learn how to scout, how to create a process for ID and talent, understanding also the difference from a player that is, at a good level in England or Manchester versus a player that is, coming from the US or South America. So, each club, like I said before, they have their own scouts under the payroll. Also, there's independent scouts in other countries as well, which, if they see this player in a small town, they call in the scout, or they have their contacts within the club, refer the player, and of course, the player will have to attend a tryout. But mainly, my certification was based on creating a scouting process, creating a standard of what are we looking for. And of course, like I said, each country's got a different system of IDing the talent and mentoring the talent, and of course promoting that talent.
How can an athlete make sure that they are being approached by a scout that's legit? Let's say they want to go to a session, they see a scout that's going to have sessions. How can they make sure that that scout has the right connections to get them to, a D2 or a D1 or directly at a league? How can they verify and check that?
Right. I mean, they can always look through social media. I mean, photos, videos, just to make sure that everything is legit. But I think at the end of the day, it's who you make a connection with. And from my end, I wouldn't be saying like the perfect way of doing it, but what the way I do it, I like to meet the player in person, preferably, so I can meet them, see them on the field, and then of course I like to talk to them. I want to really get into their mindset. A lot of times when they're underage, I speak with the parents to make sure they're aligned as well and they have the support, because that's going to be crucial if you want to make a career. You're gonna need support around you, and that's the way I do it. I know there's many programs out there. I'm not sure. You just have to. I would say just attend the tryout. Give it a go. Go meet the people, connect with them. If you see that you have a good connection and your goals are aligned, then go for it.
So let's talk about a older player, a player that's that 16, 17, 18, 19 range. They're about to either head off to college or they're trying to go directly to the league. At what age should they actually be really serious about the recruitment process? At what age should they be aggressively either trying to get in front of scouts or get scouts to come to them?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the U.S., I would say 15 years old. I mean, that's kind of that transition between being a kid, a child, and moving into your teenage years, where
Mhm.
the expectations are going to be much higher. For example, if you're under 15, 14, I'm looking for technique. I'm looking for technique. I'm looking at your personality as a kid. Okay. Um, and then, of course, once you are getting older, I'm looking at how tactical you are. I'm looking at your persona. I'm looking at your speed, your agility, everything that's gonna be, to make you seem like a complete player. At 15, 16, of course, you're not going to be a complete player, but we'll definitely be able to see that potential in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So I would say, at 15 years of age is the kind of the sweet spot to really start pushing. Um, but of course, it depends. Depends, like I said, if that's typically the US. I know that college the scouting events or college ID events, they want players 14, 15 and older. So.
Okay. And so I know, each country has their kind of specific niche or thing that they look for in an athlete. But what would you say if you could boil it down to two things? What would you say that a scout is the most successful in placing an athlete if the athlete has these one or two things nailed down across the board? What would you say are those two things you think if an athlete has it, they're definitely going to go?
Okay, so I would say you have to have natural talent. You have to have a certain level of natural abilities, which in this case will be, your technical abilities. You have to be super comfortable with the ball, super confident with the ball. I mean, that was the first thing. The second thing, you have to have athletic abilities. You have to be quick, you have to be strong, and then you have to have also the will to keep that the the continue building that strength, that speed, because the professional sports are very demanding. Of course, college sports as well. And I think the last is the mentality. That's something that I think is going to separate those players that make it all the way to the top to the players that maybe make it, and players that don't make it. It's going to be the mentality, that drive, the grit, and of course, what are you are willing to sacrifice to make those goals for you.
So it sounds like you're saying the kind of the common thread with athletes who make it, obviously they have skill that they've practiced at home, but they
Hmm.
also have a mentality, kind of a stick to itiveness
Hmm.
to keep at it, and they're coachable. They can keep evolving and getting better.
Hmm.
If there's an athlete right now who is interested in becoming a scout, what would you say is the best path for them to take?
To become a scout.
Yes.
Okay. I'll say start coaching. I mean, the first step, I'll say, get some coaching experience. Be able to work with different age groups. Work with little ones, maybe work with the teenagers, and then, of course, I would say definitely a great opportunity to be for them to work with adults, meaning 18 and older, because that way you have a wide range of understanding how a kid operates, how a teenager operates, and how an adult operates. From there, if your goal is to, uh, um, reach or become a scout, then focus on ID and talent. Okay, what is this player? What are the attributes of this player? Okay, what makes it so good? What are the things he's not, that needs improvement? So you kind of always evaluate players, and then with that, you'll be able to kind of have this scout eye, where you can see a player, you're interested in the play, you think it definitely has the potential, and then of course then you have to learn how to evaluate the personalities as well, because that's going to be crucial. When I scout players, of course, the first step for me is to see them on a session. I only need the players for one day, 2 hours, to really see where we are. I mean,
Okay.
it's very simple.
Yeah.
When I tell the players, I'm not here to teach you how to play, I'm not here to coach you, I'm here to
Right.
evaluate. So
Yeah.
I focus on what you have already and what you might be able to offer down the line if we put you through a program where we can bring the level to where it needs to compete.
Yeah.
And then from there, of course, typically I take him overseas. Why? Because I want to see the player outside of the comfort zone. When you're in a small town and you play in your youth club and you're the main goal scorer and you're the top player, well, that's within your niche, that's within your
Mhm.
comfort zone. What if I bring you to play against players that are already under a professional system or an academy at your same age group and you compete against these players? Will your level be the same? Will you have to really try much harder in order to be at
Right.
least at that level, or are you even better than these players? So that's the second step. Taking abroad also, I teach him culture. A lot of the players that talk to, my dream is to play in Europe. Okay, have you been in Europe before? No, never. Okay, do you
Mm.
speak German? No, I don't. Okay, well, why don't we go? I'll take him. I provide him training with professional coaches. I set up 3 showcase matches for them, and I teach him how to navigate the city. For example, to Munich. This is how players move around. They don't have mom and dad driving you to the field and back every
Right.
day. You take a bus, you
Right.
take the train. Maybe it could be an hour that you would have to travel to make the training sessions on the daily basis. So it's a completely different environment where they have to say yes, I see myself doing this, or I don't see myself on the bus for an hour every day just to go train
Yeah.
for 2 hours, come back. So it's a completely different life change that they have to understand. Because
Right.
like I said before, your mentality has got to be strong enough that you'll be able to go through that change.
Right.
So those are the types of opportunities I give to my players. Now, once we go through that, I get to see them outside of the comfort zone. I get to meet them in a personal level because we stay at the same hotel. We have breakfast together. We go eat together. I see them at training. I see them at matches. I see them interact with coaches. For example, in this case, I work. My partners are all professional soccer coaches, UEFA. They have played for Bayern Munich before, 1860 Munich. So they have that player experience behind them. Plus, they have high level certification. So that way they know what is the requirements of what the coaches are expected when you are working with professionals, because it's very
Yes.
different. I mean, of course you're a coach and you have some time coaching, and maybe you did it because your team needed help, versus going and now you are under a professional mentality. And then from there, of course, once I see I'm really comfortable with this player, I really see the potential, then the next step, I typically take him for a month or two, integrate him into a professional team. From there they have a professional schedule, professional staff. Training 5 6 times a week is very different than training twice or 3 times a week. And of course, I'll set
Yeah.
him up on matches where they'll be playing against professional players. And at the end of the day, if you want to be a pro, you have to have that you have to live like one. You have
Hmm.
to experience that. And then from there, if you're still motivated, you're still driven to make that your goal, then we continue looking for more opportunities.
Yeah, so it sounds like definitely not only having the skill, but having the stamina and the tolerance for what that lifestyle is like. Coach Mario, tell everyone where they can find you and what you're up to.
Sure. I mean, you can go to my website, soccerscoutingpros.com. My schedule for my upcoming events are already listed and they can register. Like I said, it's 1 day event, 2 hours. Um, every player we will have the opportunity to show their technical abilities, tactical understanding, and they have time to play. Okay, no coaching. You come and show what you can do. Also, all the sessions are video recorded. We use a video camera, and of course, this video is available to all the players for them to take the highlights, review the session, and of course, most importantly, after the session, I'm able to review, the performance of each player. And once that's done, we'll set up a time to speak over the phone for about 15 20 minutes to discuss their goals, and see if like I said, we can create a connection, and if their goals align to what can I do for them, then we can proceed.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it. That is another episode of Inside the League.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me again.